Hey y'all, it's Sarah. I posted a raffia looking pumpkin recently, and I had some people ask me if I could show how I did that. So I was getting ready to make another one, and I thought I would just kind of bring you guys along, see if you wanted to tag along with this one. So I have some of these just normal Halloween candy buckets. I've already taken the little handles off of this one. So my family and I decided we were going to try to do some paper mache over these guys. And it worked and it didn't work. And I'm going to show you the end result. So there's my paper mache. And I used a recipe I found online. And since none of us were super familiar, there were some pros and cons to my little buckets. So here is what I ended up with. We blew up some balloons inside, but you can see the balloons ultimately, they went flat and lost their shape. So I pretty much have a, kind of like the Dollar Tree foam pumpkins. It's pretty flat on both sides, honestly. I thought I was going to paint these white, so that's why it's kind of two-tone. But I wanted to show you something really quick. I'm going to be using some glue sticks. I just use Dollar Tree glue sticks usually. I've got one of the Dollar Tree Hula skirts. I've got the color Cashew and Waverly chalk paints. And I want to tell you guys, this cashew color is a perfect match to this. So it helps save on using our materials here. A couple other options, and I'm just going to bring out a few things that I pulled together to kind of decorate my raffia pumpkin with. I have some real raffia. This is Dollar Tree too, and you can kind of see there's like a little bit of difference in those. I have some of the Dollar Tree little wooden stems. I'm not sure what size I'm going to put on mine, so I have a couple options. Some of the berry garland. I have some paper floral wire to make a little curly cue. Some natural elements. Dollar Tree has pine cones. So just whatever you kind of want to dress yours up with. The only thing I forgot to grab was, I was planning on using some of the Dollar Tree burlap leaves. So I'm not sure about that, but I want to go ahead and get started with my pumpkin. I'm going to move this out of the way. And I'm just going to paint this guy out really easy and quick coverage using just a sponge. It gives a pretty even application to me, this really dense one. It takes the paint pretty evenly and it spreads it really fast and quickly. And these are Dollar Tree kitchen sponge scrubby sponges. One side is dense and one side is scrubby, and they come in a 6-pack. I usually cut them down to different sizes. So for something like this, really fast coverage. And it allows you to use a minimal amount of paint. It's kind of like using a sponge to spread your makeup foundation. And that's essentially what we're doing here. We're just putting like a little color foundation. Obviously, my white parts are going to appear a little better. I don't even think you'd really have to paper mache over this. We were going to try a different route, and some of us did better than others on our pumpkin. And since I couldn't just paint them out because they had lots of textural issues, I decided that I would cover them. And I don't think you'd have to. I think the chalk paint, typically if I do plastic, I would likely have spray painted the orange pumpkin white first with a spray paint that sticks to plastic fairly nicely as a base coat for my chalk paint to adhere to. That's just me. I feel like it uses less of my chalk paint that way. And I get less chipping like that. So I'm going to finish this out and let it dry. Okay, so my pumpkin is completely dry now. And you can kind of see what I was talking about, that cashew color is an exact match to this Dollar Tree Hula skirt, which is really cool, by the way. I picked up, or my husband picked up another Hula skirt for me from somewhere else, and it is not the exact color of this, but I do know that the fawn color matches to it pretty good. So if you've got one from somewhere else, check that color also. So I'm trying to get those loose. They were stapled in. Alright, the next thing I did was, I'm just going to come over here where this skirt starts. And I don't even think I have to clip this off. So I could untie that. I'm going to slide. I'm just going to look at it here, and I did it at about 4 or 5 knots. These actually look a little wider than the last one that I did. This one says in its adult hula skirt, and I'm kind of wondering if the other one I had was a child one. So I want to show you what not to do because I just pulled one off. I want to try to keep these on the string. And you don't have to, but it helps keep from having to do each one individually. Let's see if I can string this one back on. So you can see I'm just keeping a little piece of the string. And I just cut it at a couple strands. And if you have a visible difference in your pumpkin where you can tell there's a difference between top or bottom, I would certainly suggest starting with that. However, mine is pretty much flat on both ends. The other thing that I want to mention is that this is just a standard candy bucket pumpkin. I'm not sure if you can tell the scale. But I wanted to say that this will go across both directions. So wherever your starting point is, you're going to be able to come all the way around and in there. So keep that in mind on how you want to lay this out. Because my first one, my bottom ended up being my top, and I'll show you at the end of this. So I'm just going to take a little glue, come right along this first one, and just kind of eyeball where the middle is. And I let it adhere pretty good. And it adheres really nicely to these few paper mache Mod Podge strips of paper that I glued to here. But like I said, that was like a step that we took because we were going to do these as Mod Podge pumpkins, and it didn't work out. So I am pulling this really tight. And you can see I'm not gluing every single thing down because it really does blend underneath there. But in a few spots, I'm going to put a little glue across there. And I'm going to let it catch. And you'll see what I mean now about this will pretty much span one entire reach across your pumpkin, which is nice. You may have a few little stragglers that are a little shorter than their friends, and if you do, if you have one that ends up kind of like having a hair fly away, just tack that down. So you can trim this up as you go where this little bit is, or you can leave it and use it to kind of decorate the top of your pumpkin at the end. That really is a personal choice. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come and I'm going to snip it at about 5 strands, and I'm just pulling it right to that very end. And you could sit and do every one of these individually if you had the time, patience, and inclination to do such a thing. But I thought this definitely made it a little faster. I'm just going to come across here crossways. That way maybe it's a little easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. And I'm just pulling this tight, kind of like when you are pulling on your hair to get ready to wrap your rubber band around it. And you can see I've got another little short fella, and that's okay. I'm going to see if I can catch him, maybe. Oh, nope, didn't catch him. And most of the time, you don't have to do a whole lot of glue, because I'm going to be honest, we know that hot glue will seep through and burn your fingers on things. If you can handle putting your finger down on that, you can push it until it seeps through all of those pieces at once. That way you don't have a lot of glue strings intermingled. And we're just going to do that same little method all the way around until I have a completely covered pumpkin. And I just keep going exactly diagonal across my pumpkin. That way I'm filling in. Now that I've gotten to this point where we're at our 12, 3, 6, and 9, I'm going to come in here at around 4, do the same thing, and it's going to spin across. And I'm going by looking at it like a clock to make that a little easier to describe. And I'm going to come across the same way. And I just want to make sure that I'm kind of pulling all of these the same taut direction. And they don't have to be entirely taut. That little bit of variation there really gives it a lot of texture to look at. I start using a little more glue when I get to these points, just because it gets a little harder to see where I'm applying the more of these little strands that start filling in. And I'm just going to do this all the way around. So one of the things I wanted you to notice, this is where it goes around and then it loops back and it's got these frayed edges. The really cool thing about that is it automatically, with that little bit of extra overhang there, is automatically hiding our little knots and our little strand there for us. And if this is the bottom of your pumpkin, it's going to be fine. And if it becomes the top of your pumpkin, your stem will be able to be adhered straight to that and hide anything. So it really is kind of forgiving as far as ease of covering a pumpkin. It's probably one of the more easy ways that I have found to cover one. And I really wanted to do it in raffia because I'd seen one online done with all that beautiful natural texture of raffia. But I'm going to be honest with you, it would have taken a couple packages of raffia to get this much coverage. And I would have had to hold those strands a little bit more. Where this, being able to just snip it at the rope part, really allows me to cover this so much faster. And the fact that that cashew color is a perfect match to the Dollar Tree Hula skirts And if you want to try this, now is the time to do it. My stores were on their last couple of hula skirts of the season. And you can see, I left intentionally. There is a gap right here. You can see how well that matches. I'm just going to slide that over and cover it a little bit. But even if you do not have perfect coverage, that color underneath it is going to be awesome. You could always do it with a different color underneath it too. A slightly darker color like the fawn, or what is the other color? Hazelnut maybe. Something along those lines. And really give it a lot of visual texture too, with that slightly darker shade popping through. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this out, and when I pop back, this should be fully covered. Okay, here we are. My pumpkin is completely covered, and now you can kind of see what I mean about the frayed edges honestly coming back around and hiding pretty much all of your start and stop points. I'm just going in, I'm making sure that I pull everything nice and tight, see if there's any loose strands. I'm going to tuck a little glue in some places. And you could easily make this your top. And the reason I say that is with the little fuzzies on the top, I think that would be cute. Throw some other little natural things on there. I want to show you how much of my hula skirt is left, guys. You could probably do 2 of these good sized pumpkins out of 1 adult hula skirt. You can still see how much of this I have left. So here is what I wanted to show you about the bottom and the top can either be either which way. And all I'm doing now is just making sure that I've secured everything down as well as I possibly can. And once it gets to the end here, I struggle. The colors really start to blend together. And if I don't have my glasses on, I miss a strand here or there. So there we go. I've had a few strands. So you can see what I mean by that top gives it kind of some fun little hair. And you could come in, intertwine some natural raffia with that. You could trim all of this a little shorter. Add your stem, put a little bow, you are totally done. I want you to look how nice this bottom looks. And I did not glue my bottom, guys. I did not glue that very last piece. So I'm going to glue it in place. And I did not heavy glue this. And the reason being is you can see how nice this spans out. I've got glue more around kind of this ring. You can kind of see where the ring of the flat spot is. If you spread that apart, you should be able to get it spread apart far enough to go in and kind of tuck your little stem in and attach it there. But I did my other one that way, where this was my top, so that you could kind of see the nice crisscross pattern. And then I ended up putting raffia and things on it that hid it anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And you can see my raffia is like a slightly different color, which I think is cool. This one's actually a little bit closer in color. And you can kind of see raffia has like a little bit of a different texture. So I'm getting even another texture on here. And you could add some burlap ribbon, some burlap leaves that they have. Any of like the natural color flowers, or even bright orange fall colors would really pop on this. I like the natural kind of look and color. I love the texture. There's a lot of texture to that. So I've basically just kind of taken a wad of raffia and pretty much just spun it around. I'm going to go ahead and decide which stem that that I want to put on this guy. I think because I'm putting all this crazy raffia on here that I need one of the bigger stems, the chunkier ones, to stand out. So I'm gluing it pretty heavy. I'm going to try to come in here and find me a little opening right there that gives me a pretty decent attachment point. Allows me to kind of give my little pumpkin a comb over there. And I'm just going to kind of bird's nest this up. I'm just kind of wadding it. And there's some long pieces. There's some short, rounder pieces. You can come in and add something for your little curly cue. This is just like a floral wire that has the paper covering on it. And I'm just wrapping it around that. Got me a nice little curly cue. And I'm going to take, I don't know where my wire cutters are, but I have my 10 snips handy. You can almost cut these with scissors, but since I just have my little small scissors here. So I'm just going to find kind of where my attachment point there is. I left a little section kind of flat there where I could get a decent adhesion point. I'm going to tuck it down in between the little faux raffia and the real raffia. So many options with this. It is such a neutral, natural look that you could leave it like that and be done. And this is a pretty good sized pumpkin. I don't know what the standard sizes on these pumpkins are, but let's see if I can kind of... it looks like maybe a 9 or 10 inch pumpkin, maybe. It is hard to do that on a round, already decorated one. You can come in with the little, these little garland berries and do like some more of the little pumpkin curly cue type things. I don't know what those are called. I guess it's just a remnant of the vine. So I'm just going to do kind of a lighter version here. I'm not really wrapping it super tight. And you can kind of see how pretty and natural that looks. How nice and clean the bottom is. And other than maybe hunting down a ribbon, which I didn't have a whole lot of ribbon other than my buffalo check and stuff. I didn't have a lot of ribbon options that I wanted to use for this one because I wanted to keep this one more on its kind of natural looking look. So there we go. How cute is she? Now my other pumpkin has a friend. And hopefully that gives you guys an idea of an easy way to do this without a lot of effort. And it didn't take much material. It would have taken me probably a whole lot more in the real raffia in order to get this kind of coverage. I have plans to do one more, so I'm glad that there is enough left. The last one I want to do is basically the very same thing. The only difference is that before I go to put the strand from all the way around, I'm going to braid mine so that it has braided strands of texture down it. And there you go. This guy is ready to go find its little place on my fireplace hearth. Hope you liked it. I really do. These are super lightweight. So, for just a couple dollars. You have a really good size one. This is much larger than just the Dollar Tree foam ones. You could do this to the Dollar Tree foam ones too. I still would recommend though painting either a coordinated color or the cashew color on doing this, because you can see if I slide this over to expose that, you can't even tell the difference. Look at that. It is so forgiving. So hope you like it. Hope you get a chance to craft today or hopefully sometime this weekend. I look forward to doing a few more for you guys, and see you soon. Bye.